this is Sasha bringing you a video tutorial today from BP4U, and today we're going to be talking about these buttons over here and what they do. So the first one we have here is our arrow, and we can use this to move things. So if we had an object over top of our background layer, then we would be able to use this arrow to move it from one spot to another. And I can show you what I mean when I get to the Marquee tool down here. But the next tool that we have is our zoom tool, and of course we can use this to zoom in or out. We would click on this if we wanted to zoom in, and we would click on this if we wanted to zoom out. And here we have some buttons where we can make it fit the screen, we can make it fill the screen, we can show the print size. So we have all those different options there. If you want to zoom in on a particular spot on the photo, you would just go ahead and you would click on the plus sign, and you would draw a marquee around what you wanted to look at, and it would automatically zoom into that location. The next tool that we have here is our hand tool, and when we are zoomed in, let's go back and do that again. When we are zoomed in, we can use this hand tool to move the picture around so that we can see different parts of it. The next tool that we have here is our eyedropper tool, and we can use this to select colors. You can see this box down here. You can watch it change as I click around. We can use that to sample all the colors that we need. Then we have these marquee tools, and so if you click and you hold down, you can see this dialog or this pop-up box comes up with the two options that we have. All the tools that have a little arrow down here in the corner have those options where you can select more than one tool from underneath of it. So if I click and hold down, I can choose between a rectangular marquee or an elliptical marquee. So let's go ahead and draw a rectangular marquee, and I'm just going to copy it and I'm going to paste it onto a new layer so that you can see how my rectangular marquee has now made a new layer that I can use my arrow to move around. I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. So you can use the rectangular marquee to do what I just did. We can copy part of a photo, which would be good if you were maybe compositing something or just for different types of editing. It's really good to know how to do that. And all I did was I drew the marquee, and then I hit Control-C for copy and Control-V for paste, and that pasted it on a new layer above my background layer. The next tools that we have here are our lasso tools. The first one, we can draw a free-formed lasso. We can make that any shape that we want to, and Control-D will deselect that for me. The next one on our list is a magnetic lasso. Now this one looks for an edge to kind of stick to, so you can see I'm just sort of drawing along here, and it's just kind of sticking to the ledge of the window, and it's doing that because it knows that the colors are a little bit different. So again, Control-D will deselect that. It's really great for selecting things that have a lot of contrast between the two surfaces there. Then we have this polygonal lasso tool. This one draws straight lines. So I can make it any shape that I want to, but the lines every time that I click are going to be straight. The next tool that I have here is my magic wand tool, and I can use this to make selections as well, and all I do is click, and it looks for a way to kind of something similar to the magnetic lasso. It looks for an area that it thinks is all the same. And so if you think that it's getting too much or too little, you can control the tolerance. What this is really good for is if you are selecting something that maybe has like a white background, if you're making a selection of something that any kind of a solid color background where there's a lot of contrast between your subject and the background, this is great for. Again, Control-D will deselect that. The next tool that we have here is either our quick selection or our selection brush tool. Again, we use these to select with. Control D will deselect those for me. The next thing that we have is our text tool, and we have all kinds of different options here. We also have some options up here. The first box here will control our text font. And then we can move over here and we can control our text size. We can do our size over here, or we can change the color. We can control our alignment. And then of course we can make it bold, italicized, underlined, or we can strike it through. So we have quite a few different options for our text. So let's go ahead and let's write something. We can use this text. We'll go ahead and we'll take a color here. We'll make it a little bit of a bigger font. And so now we have our sample text, and we can grab this arrow tool to move the text where we want it. And to transform it, the size of it, we can just kind of drag it out here at the corners, making sure that our constraint proportions box is checked, and we can check this green arrow when we're happy with how it looks. The next tool that we have here is our crop tool. And so we can make a crop on our photo by using this tool, and I'm holding down the shift key as I'm doing this so that my proportions are constrained. You can come up here too and you can choose a size. Like I would like my photo to be 8 by 10 or a 5 by 7 or a 4 by 6. Great for printing. Down here we have a cookie cutter tool, and we can draw shapes on our pictures if we want to. Or we can cut the picture out in that shape. So here, if I really wanted my picture to be a butterfly, then I could cut it into the shape of a butterfly. So here we have a straighten tool, and we could use this to, you draw a line and it makes the photo straight with this line. So you can see now this line here is straightened. Great for if you're straightening for your horizon or your background. We have our red eye removal tool, where you would just simply click on the red eye. We don't obviously have any red eye in this picture. Okay, we have our spot healing and our healing brush tools. The spot healing is the one click and it samples from the areas around it, whereas the healing brush, you have to create your own sample by hitting Alt and then click, and then move your sample to where you want it to be. Then we have our clone stamp tool here. Again, the same thing with that one is you would Alt click to select your sample, and then you would be able to paint where you needed that to be. Then we have our eraser tool here. We have the regular eraser tool where it erases into nothing and would create a white background. We have our background eraser tool, which will erase and allow the photo behind it to be transparent. Whenever you see those checkered dots, that means that that's transparency. And then we have our magic eraser tool, where it's just one click, and again, like the magic wand tool, it will try to detect your area that it thinks that you're wanting to pull from, and it will erase from that spot. Next, we have our brush tools. Again, this is great for when you're working on your layer masks. The next one we have here is our detail brush and our smart brush. Not something that you're really ever going to use on your typical editing most of the time, but you can see that it's kind of selecting for me things here and enhancing them as well. Control D will deselect that for me. We have a paint bucket here where we can fill what we need to. We have a gradient tool where you kind of click and you drag from a point where you want it and it fills in the gradient for you. We have our shape tools where we can draw some shapes, whatever we would need those for. We've got some different options. We can draw a heart. We can draw a rounded elliptical, whatever we need. Then we have our sharpen, blur, and smudge tools. And these are brushes that are going to allow us to do what the name says. We can change our size up here, and we can blur, sharpen, or smudge. So we can use those to paint over the picture where we need to. So that is how we can use our tools. We also have a sponge, dodge, and burn tool. The dodge tool will lighten an area, you can see, and then we can pick up here whether we want to work on the shadows, midtones, or highlights, and you can choose your brush size. The burn tool will darken an area. Again, you can pick from the shadows, midtones, or highlights and your brush size. And the sponge tool will either saturate or desaturate an area. And so again, up here you can pick between saturate or desaturate and your brush size. And down here we have our color swatches. The one that's on top is our foreground color and the one that's behind it is our background color. So that is how we can use our tools here in Photoshop Elements. So thank you so much for watching this video tutorial. Happy editing!